If you played the 5.8 Archon Quest, you'd know that Ineffa is not just a normal robot, but a remnant of a far older age. But her lore goes so much deeper, even giving us some well overdue information on visions. So first, let's go over her story. Who, or rather, what is she? She is the 11th of the 13 Dragon Lords who once governed different regions of ancient Natlan. But these so-called Dragon Lords weren't true dragons. They were sophisticated artificial intelligences created by the Pyro Dragon sovereign Shuhwatl to oversee Natlantia, a civilization that existed long before modern-day Natlan. The 11th Dragon Lord, known as the Mirror of the Dawning Morn, was particularly hostile towards humanity. However, after Shuhwatl's death, she began to malfunction. Ironically, this malfunction was a growing sense of benevolence towards humans, so she split into two personalities, something she despised within herself and wanted to erase. To rid herself of this unwanted malfunction, she devised a plan. She attempted to deceive Leonka, the adopted daughter of the 8th Dragon Lord, who was kind to humanity, into destroying this benevolent part of her. She posed this plan as a kind of rebirth, claiming that the fragment to be destroyed was her human-hating side. But Leonka saw straight through that. Instead of being tricked into destroying the kind side of her, she sealed the 11th Lord away and secretly sent her benevolent self, which was also encoded into a secret source core, across the sea to find a new home. In her rage, the 11th Lord cursed her own self so that it would feel pain for every ounce of goodwill it felt towards humans. The secret source core eventually reached nod-Krai, where it remained there for 2 millennia. It was eventually discovered by Aino, a mechanic of the Clink Clank Crumb Cake craft shop. Using her core and the components gathered from all across Tevat, Aino built a humanoid robot maid and named her Ineffa. But Ineffa suffered from blackouts and glitches, which were all symptoms of the curse. Despite this, she was sent to Natlan carrying a message from the Grand Master of Mondstadt, Farka, for the Traveler and Paimon. However, upon her arrival, schemes orchestrated by the Fatui, who were on a reconnaissance mission under the command of the 7th Harbinger Sandrone, and the sealed 11th Lord, lured Ineffa and the Traveler into the very domain that the AI was imprisoned. The 11th Lord briefly regained control of Ineffa, but Ineffa fought back and ripped out and destroyed her own core to prevent herself from becoming a danger to humanity, an act that should have effectively ended her. But Leonka had left something behind for Ineffa. Embedded inside her core was a mysterious object known as a moon wheel, which activated as she fought back against the curse. It helped restore her core and defeat the 11th Dragon Lord. So let's talk about this moon wheel. The activated moon wheel resembles an electrovision, but it's definitely not one, though they do share many similar traits. After all, during the Inazuma arc, we learned that no new electrovisions had been granted for a year before the Traveler's arrival, so it's very unlikely that she's all of a sudden the first new electrovision. So it must be something else altogether. So what exactly is this moon wheel? Ineffa's character profile explains it as an item that was being researched by the 8th Lord, the priestess of floral candles and skyborn feathers, who had also studied visions around the same time they began appearing in the world. She noted that this artifact may be related to ritual items from Niflheim. In Norse mythology, Niflheim is a realm of ice, mist, and eternal winter, eerily similar to the description of Snezhnaya. So this is perhaps the term the dragons use to refer to the frozen lands of the north. These ritual items may be remnants of a lost civilization known as Hyperborea, which is believed to have existed in or near nod-Krai or Snezhnaya. Hyperborea had a deep connection to the moons and the angel, and may have worshipped the moon goddesses themselves. The moon wheel, then, is likely a vision-like object gifted by the moon goddesses to their human followers. The 8th Lord wrote, "Through certain means I managed to acquire a working moon wheel, one of Niflheim's ritual items, or more precisely, a plaything given by the traders to their human followers, allowing them to communicate." So who are these traders? For that, we turn to Ineffa's signature weapon, Fractured Halo. It recounts a tale from Ineffa's time as a Dragon Lord. She and Shuhwatl once journeyed to the palaces of the 3 Moon Sisters, seeking information about their missing king, Nibelung, who had ventured beyond the stars in search of forbidden knowledge. But the Moon Sisters offered no help, for all that they received from them was silence. When Nibelung returned corrupted by forbidden knowledge and reignited the war against the heavenly principles, 2 of the moons were destroyed. The dragons were said to have cheered at their demise, viewing the moon goddesses as traitors. Nibelung was the one who originally created the moons and gave the moon goddesses their willpower and authority to reign over the night sky. So when they refused to speak to the dragons and refused to help them, they were branded as traitors. The 8th Lord also noted that the moon wheel relies on a purer form of power, untainted by the usurper, unlike elemental energy. One theory I can put out is that moon wheels serve a nearly identical role to visions, both in form and function. However, moon wheels appear to predate visions, perhaps even by millennia, originating long before the Archons came into power. Visions as we understand them are pieces of elemental power granted by an Archon, or rather a dragon sovereign in the case of Neuvillette. But before the Archons ruled the elements, it's possible that moon wheels fulfilled a similar purpose, drawing not on elemental power from the Archons, but from the moon goddesses instead. This could explain why people from Nod-Krai, a land without an Archon but close ties to the moons, can perform lunar reactions, unique interactions that we can observe with Ineffa. Their power source appears to be fundamentally different. It's not standard elemental energy but something older and purer. If that's the case, then the people of Nod-Krai may not just be issued regular visions but rather moon wheels. So basically, moon wheels may have been the original visions. Power not taken by the 7, but from the moon goddesses. Yet both moon wheels and visions are said to be formed from stuff of the soul. This may mean that to have a vision, one might literally have to sell their soul to the heavenly principles. This could also explain the Fatui's rejection of the idea that visions are divine blessings. But Ineffa is just an AI, right? She doesn't exactly have a soul. Well, a case can be made about her having a soul. Both in the Archon Quest and in the description of the moon wheel in her profile, Lianka says something important right before embedding the moon wheel into her. Since the core is powered by phlogiston, we can use the same power to control it. In which case, the priestess's research would suggest that this thing might be a better fit. This thing referring to the moon wheel. This statement seems to imply that because she's powered by phlogiston, an old moon wheel might work to save her. But what's so special about phlogiston? Her character introduction states that Nibelung engraved mind and soul into phlogiston. Perhaps this means that being made of phlogiston may somehow allow her to possess a soul. But even from the 8th Dragon Lord's research, we still don't have the full picture of how visions work. But she does mention that they are inextricably linked to human wishes. And Lianka mentions that her following this path to help Ineffa was her mother's wish. So this wish could be part of the reason why Ineffa is able to possess a vision. So as we move into nod-Krai, we're likely to learn more about the fine details of how visions work. So let me know your thoughts and theories in the comments and consider subscribing. Thank you for watching.